Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome, crafty friends, and thank you so much for stopping by and checking out my latest video. Today I'm continuing on my journey of creating as many Christmas trees as I can this holiday season using items in my stash. This is the 9th video in the series. I do have a playlist available along with links in the description box below if you're interested in checking out more ideas on decorating paper mache cones. Today's tutorial focuses on this wonderful pink floral tree created with lace, floral trim, and pearls. Stay tuned for the full tutorial. For today's Christmas tree cone craft, I am starting off with a Christmas tree cone that is, I think this one is, let's see here, I'm measuring it right now. This one is 17 inches, and this one has a little bit of a base already on it. These ones do come from Hobby Lobby. They usually have them out at Christmas time in the Christmas craft section. And I picked these up one year when like Christmas stuff was like 75% off. I believe they're normally like $6, I think. So you can get them for a few dollars if it's 50% off. But I did wait until it was 75% off to purchase these. I'm also going to use some lace. Some pink lace from my stash to decorate this tree today. And I think I'm also going to use this nice little pink eyelet trim that I've had in my stash for a long time that I picked up at a thrift store. And the other item I'm going to use is this gorgeous trim, and I'm going to cut it up and just place the flowers separately onto the tree. And then I'm going to put some flat back pearls in the middle of them. And this gorgeous trim I purchased from my friend Kim at Angel Dreams Crafts Kim. I've had it in my stash. I don't think she currently has it in her store. I've been hoarding on it for a long time, waiting for the right project. And I think this is the perfect project for it. So what I'm going to do is I'll glue this down with you guys. And then I'm going to cut up this trim so that all the flowers are individual flowers. I think it's just going to glue down easier if I do it that way. So I'm going to cut all the flowers out individually and then glue them down. And this time, in the past, I've used Fabri-Tac to glue down my lace onto my cones. And this time I'm going to try matte medium. I think you could also try on Mod Podge if you have it. My problem is where I live, certain times of the year, stuff that I've used Mod Podge for, it never like fully dries when it's humid. So if you live in a humid area, you probably don't want to use that product. So instead I'm going to try matte medium to glue this down. This is like a professional type medium that artists use. And I am using like a matte finish instead of a glossy finish on this one. So I think it's going to work, but let's try it out. If it doesn't work, I will let you guys know. So I am going to, like I said, glue down this lace, and I'm just using this kind of as a base layer. And of course the cone, the Christmas tree cone that I'm using, it did come in like a brown craft paper color, and I went ahead and I painted it with a chalk paint. It was in the plaster color by Waverly chalk paint. If you want to know the specific brand, I've been talking about it in these episodes. But here it is. If you guys want to actually see it, I do have it sitting on my desk today, so I can show you what the chalk paint looks like. And I usually buy this. You can buy it at Hobby Lobby, but I also see it at Walmart also. So there's a couple different spots where you can buy this. And I know you can also buy it in like smaller sizes. This happens to be the larger size. I use quite a bit of that, so I usually buy it in the larger size. So I'm going to put some of the matte medium on a tray that I have here, and these are just my form of recycling a little bit. I get these trays when I buy vegetables at my local grocery store, like broccoli and stuff. They have them on these trays and wrapped with like saran wrap. And so I just use them a couple of times before I throw them in the garbage. They're just little styrofoam pieces. You could use like a styrofoam plate or something like that also. And so what I'm going to do for this, I think, is I'm just going to put a little bit of a layer. I often use this type of medium, or it's not Mod Podge, but matte medium. I use this matte medium as kind of a protective finish sometimes on different projects, is usually what I use it for. I have used it as like a protective finish when I have like a particular junk journal cover that I want. I will add it over sometimes like scrapbooking paper if I want to make it a little bit more durable. And what I'm trying to do is I want to cover the cone from here to the top. And so I didn't quite have my lace that first time. I didn't quite have it positioned quite right. This time I think I will have it positioned the way I want. And instead of, the reason why I'm choosing to do it this way is this lace, there really isn't a lot of solid pieces on it. It's more of a tulle type lace. And so I think this type of glue or adhesive is going to work better on this style of lace for this cone. So that's why I am choosing to use that one today. I don't know why there's like a little fuzzy right there. I don't know why. I'm just going to trim that off. Not quite sure why that's there. I'm pretty sure I will cover it with that other lace, but so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of that matte medium down. Again, right now I'm not using very much of it, just enough to kind of tack down the lace where I want it. So far I like how it's looking. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of trim down the excess material that I don't need. And I'm not going to worry there's a little bit hanging down. I'm not going to worry about that because I am going to put some sort of trim on the bottom. So I'm not going to worry about that. And so I am going to continue, I'm going to finish gluing this last little bit down here. But I just need to trim off just a little bit more of the extra. So for the most part, I have this pretty well kind of tacked down. I am going to turn it up this way, just because it is going to be easier for me to deal with it. And then my next step is I'm going to go ahead I'm going to glue add one more layer of the matte medium on top of this lace, just so I know that it's glued on well. And you can kind of see I am trying to go all the way up on the cone tree. And I'm being a little bit more generous this time around as I am applying this. I am putting it on a little bit heavier on my paintbrush. I know it might not show up on camera very well, but I'm just making sure that I have applied it all the way around the lace and the cone, and I think I have gotten all the way around. And so my next step is I'm going to let this dry for 24 hours. I have some other things to do, so I'll come back into the craft room tomorrow and finish this Christmas tree. But I'm going to give this a good 24 hours to dry. I don't think it normally takes that long for the matte medium to dry, but I just want to make sure that this lace is glued down well. And I think I can kind of hold it up. I know you can kind of see, I think on camera, that there is glue on top of all of the lace. I've used this technique before when I've made tags and I've glued lace down on some delicate lace onto tags, and it works well. So I will be back after this dries to do the rest of the tree. So I am back after having let the lace dry on the paper mache cone for 24 hours. And again, I used the matte medium to glue this lace on, and it seems like it's holding quite nicely, so I think I would choose to use that again to glue lace onto a paper mache. If it was like lace that was very mesh like this one, that there wasn't a lot of easy spots to glue down, that worked very well. And then also, while that was drying, I did take this lace and I cut up a lot of the flowers. So I have some big ones and some little ones, and I'll just see how far these get me. If I need to cut more, I will. And again, my plan is just to kind of randomly place these on the cone, the large and the small ones, and then add some flat back pearls to the middle, and then also add some little trim at the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I think the easiest thing to do is to maybe start off with kind of the bigger flowers, and then I'm going to fill in some of the smaller flowers after that. And there will be gaps. I don't want them touching. I thought about doing that where they were all kind of touching, but I think I just want random ones kind of all throughout with a little bit of space. So like if I had glued those down and then I had a small one here, you know, maybe another large one here or something. So that's what I plan on doing. And let's just see how it turns out. Sometimes you never know until you get going on a project if it's going to turn out or not. But I think I'll like how this one turns out. Basically just because I really love this lace, and I've been hoarding it for so long that I think no matter what I create with it, I'm going to like. And again, I'm just going to use hot glue today on my project to glue these down. If you didn't have this type of flower trim, you could choose to do a different type of flower trim, or you could maybe do some sort of like little appliques, bridal appliques, if you had a bridal applique. I think those would look really nice, kind of scattered throughout a tree like this. And I don't know a second ago if I was on camera. If not, I apologize for that. It's kind of a big paper mache cone, and I can't zoom out anymore. So I apologize. I forgot to double check that to make sure whether or not I was in camera or not. Hopefully I was for part of it. I think this one also is kind of one of those, other than having to wait for the dry time for the lace, the original lace that I glued onto it, I think this is another one of those trees that's not going to take very long, especially if you already have the applique cut up or the lace that you're using. This one did take a little bit of time to cut up the flower pieces, but it's kind of one of those projects you can do while you watch TV or work on other projects. Not work on other projects, but watch TV. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue down. Here's what we have so far. And it looks like I could maybe put one more right here possibly. I think I am going to put one more big one right here first. So I'm going to put one more large one, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue down some smaller ones. So the next step is I'm happy with the way this looks. I kept on adding the little flowers until I was happy. And so my next step, I think, is I'm going to add some trim to the bottom and then flat back pearls. And for the trim, I'm choosing this eyelet trim that I have that's pink, and I just have kind of a little remnant left. And so I think that's enough to go around. First thing I'm going to do, though, is when I start off with a new lace, if I'm wrapping it around something, oftentimes I will just kind of fold it over on itself just so it has a nice clean edge. Just add a little bit of glue. So then it has kind of a nice clean edge to start off with. And then I got to decide which side's my front and back, because I usually like to start stuff kind of on the back side. And I think I'll do it where the little bit of the seam is showing, so that'll be my back. So I'll start gluing on the back and work my way around. So I'm back after gluing down this trim. I'm not 100% happy with it, so I'm going to add another layer over it. And I've decided to use this really pretty trim in my stash. I've had this in my stash for a long time. I'm not even 100% sure where I got it. So I'm going to add that. And once I've added this, it's going to be a little too long, so I'm also going to need to add a base to the bottom of my tree. And this is just another little crystal candle stick holder that I have in my stash that I've had for a long time from the thrift store. I think I paid like $1 for it. So I'm going to add that to the base also. And it looks like this trim has a little bit of some fuzziness going on up here. So I'm going to go ahead and just take my better scissors and I'm going to trim that off because I don't like what that looks like. I don't know if It was just in the process of how it was made, but that looks a little bit better. So I'm at the end of the trim, and I've kind of pieced it together here, and I'm trying to make it as seamless as possible. So I did trim around another one of these just so I could hopefully kind of hook these two up so that it looks a little bit more seamless. I just wanted to pop on and show you guys that. So that's what it looks like. I mean, you can still tell that there's a seam there, but it looks a little bit more cohesive. And so that's what I have right now, and I really like it, especially if I prop it up and sit it up. Again, at the end of the video, I'll show you guys what it looks like. But so far I like that. So now, again, my next step is I'm going to go ahead and glue down some flat back pearls. Again, I have two different sizes. I'm going to just start again with the larger flowers and then glue the flat back pearls on the smaller ones. So here's what it looks like so far with the large pearls, and now I'm going to go ahead and add the smaller size pearls to the smaller flowers. So here's what it looks like so far. I'm getting close to being done. I really like how this looks now with this other trim that I chose down here. And I could just leave the top plain. I thought about maybe trying to wrap, you know, one of these around on the top somehow for my topper. I still have some more of these stars from Hobby Lobby. So I think I'm going to add that, and you could just set it on top, but I don't like it like that. So again, on this one, like I did earlier, I think these are hollow, so I'm going to cut open the top. And I'm just going to make sure, yep, it is hollow on the top. And I'm going to straighten the wire again on this one. It does take a little bit of force to pull it, but it's not too bad. And it is it's a little bit of a glittery mess because this is a glitter star. And then either take a really old scissors, or if you have a wire cutter, and I don't know if this is going to work. My good wire cutter is actually in our house and not in my craft room right now. It did cut pretty easy. So like I did on one of the previous trees, I'm just going to go ahead and stick this one in here, and that'll be my top. But what I'm going to do this time different, I think, is I'm actually going to paint this. So what I'm going to do now with this is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint this instead of using it white. I do have this ballet slipper. I think it's pretty close to the color of these flowers. And so I did put it on my little palette here. And I'm going to paint it, and it's probably going to take a little while for it to dry unless I use my heat tool. So maybe I'll use my heat tool so it goes a little faster. So I'm just going to paint over the glitter on this one. And I think that's pretty close, so I'm happy with that color. So I'm going to go ahead and use my heat tool to dry the paint. So there are a couple spots where there's still white showing, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a second coat of pink, and I'll go ahead and use the heat tool again to dry it, and I will be back after the paint is dry. So the paint has dried, and here's what it looks like, and I'm just going to go ahead and just stick it in the top here just to show you guys what it looks like in the top. And I have to say, I really love how that looks. I am going to do a couple more things off camera. I am going to go ahead and glue the base down of this, and I'm going to use hot glue in E6000. I've did this on one of my other videos, and I'll just glue it onto the bottom in the middle. It's going to take a little while for that to dry. And I'm also going to use a little bit of hot glue in E6000 up here to hold the star in. And the other thing I'm going to do, and this is going to take some time to dry, is just to make sure that the chalk paint is sealed in good. You can use like a polyacrylic, or I'm just going to use this matte medium, and I'm just going to go over it, and that'll just add a little protective coat to protect the chalk paint to keep it from peeling off over time. But I'll go ahead and do that off camera, and you just brush it on. And I'll let that dry, and then go ahead and glue it to the top of the tree. And then I'll go ahead and show you guys when everything's dried. I'll go ahead and show you a view of the finished tree straight on. Thank you again for watching today's tutorial. I hope you love this tree as much as I loved creating it. Please let me know what you think by leaving a comment below. I hope to see you back again tomorrow for another episode. Until then, have a wonderful day and happy crafting.